January of 2019, Rae Andreacchio, Josh Andreacchio, Todd Andreacchio, Max Mays, Chief DuBose, and Jay Arrington met for a meeting. Missing from the meeting was Cassie Coleman. Here is the behind-the-scenes recording of that meeting.
I didn't know she was coming.
I'd love to talk with her whenever Gypsy presented that case. What exactly did she present? Because Gypsy asked me to be there when it's being presented, help to present it, and I never was allowed to be there. I don't know what she presented.
Well, they presented it as suicide. They're not going to say that, but I talked to Marvin Sanders, who was the attorney who presented it, and actually have him on tape. He doesn't know that, where he didn't know that we had pathologists, didn't know anything about 𝐂𝐓𝐇 Associates. Said that they presented 𝐕𝐈𝐃𝐄𝐓's report, which we now have a copy of, and they added a video that they made.
I had a problem with that 𝐕𝐈 report with the bullet ricocheting all over the room before it got to where it landed at. I never did buy into that at all. But where I was trying to get presented, as far as, in my opinion, where your son was sitting at when the shot was fired, Bill would even concede to that his own thought was moved over here. I couldn't even get Bill to concede to that.
Can I ask you one?
Sure.
Jersey?
Chief DuBose, what is the status of the case with your department?
The case was turned over to Gypsy Ward with the AG's office, and they, right now, as far as we're concerned, are the ones that has the case.
So,
Now, if you're asking in a roundabout way if we can reopen it, is that what you're asking?
that and the last time I talked to you, the last time I talked to Detective Arrington, we were all in concert about what we believe to be the status of the case being a murder, not suicide. Where are we now? I guess that's the question. When it left here and went to the AG's office, I was up there under the impression the last time I talked to you, you were there in the impression
Well, I came on with Madison and asked Miss Swearingen over there, how, she kept saying that it's a shooting on the ground conviction of murder, and I asked her, show me what you got that you can make it a murder, and she said, show me what you got.
Who was that now?
The lawyer with Madison.
Oh, Speedson.
Speaking.
Mm-hmm.
But all she told me to draw with Madison was, she was the one saying that about what her history was as a prosecutor, how she could do it as a murder. Well, show me what you got, how you can make it a murder. And then all she said was, show me what you got. Well, I drove up there to find out. She won't say she can make it a murder, but she never did show her cards.
But your opinion is?
My opinion is manslaughter by culpable negligence.
But not suicide.
Tampering with, no, it ain't suicide. But it's tampering with a crime scene.
No.
But before I got it, the statute of limitations already run out on the tampering with a crime scene.
But you were basically in concert with the rest of us that are here that it is not a suicide.
I've never said it's suicide, no.
No, I know you haven't, and I haven't. And all of the findings that the Andreacchios have had done with 𝐂𝐓𝐇 and Associates, with the pathologists and everybody else, it is in concert with what we're saying, that it was not a suicide.
I've never said it's suicide.
Well, and didn't you get a warrant for murder?
I got a warrant sometimes I get a warrant issued to force the hand where I can, make a contact. Cause so far, Dylan and, that female, they refuse to talk to me. They won't talk to me at all. Last I heard, Hamilton, Joe Hamilton's son was supposed to be in contact with her. He was gonna bring her in, she's gonna talk to her, but that never materialized either.
So I guess back to your question, Chief DuBose, about reopening it.
Okay, what about it?
Are you able to do that?
We can open any case we want to open.
First step is
We're gonna have to have something different than what Gypsy I don't know what Gypsy presented.
Nobody knows.
The only way they're gonna go from, based on the information I know, is if something new is presented. Something-
No, I have plenty of new stuff.
Well, I'm saying,
Because
I'm
they
just
would
saying,
not, they would not do anything.
That's the only way that.
We've
that
got a
I know.
person that puts Jet Miller coming out of coming out of the apartment that nobody's ever spoken to. Even though we told Brad that he needed to talk to her, even though we told the AG's office they needed to talk to her, to the person that I had watching.
Oh, I thought you said, I was confusing the person you said coming out.
I had talked to Bilbo, and Bilbo agreed that he had told him, I've turned all of this over to the U.S. Attorney's Office, and they referred it to the FBI, because it is a cover-up and it's corruption. Now, whether your department is a part of it, I don't know, because now we're hearing that Thompson is involved in it. And when you look at it, Thompson doesn't even have Whitley that she had Christian phone.
Thompson.
Detective Thompson, that he was the one who questioned her. You look at his thing with her, and it doesn't have anything about that. He asked her 3 times for her phone, for Christian's phone, and she lied and said, I don't have it. And then she gave it to him. But if you look at his, because we've got all the reports now from NBI, and it is ridiculous that all the stuff that we have, and everybody agrees it was murder, but nobody wants to do anything about it.
I disagree with you on that, because I do want to do something about it. Because when I first talked to you, when you asked me about this case, I agreed to look at the case. And I talked with you after I looked at the case. And I told you I had a bunch of questions. I wasn't going to make it. I told you that something just didn't look right. Some of the things that I saw in the case. And that's why I agreed to reopen the case. I also told you at another meeting that we had in here that I feel like we are the voice of the victim, because he can't speak for himself, so we have to do that. Now, if there is a cover-up in this department, it is not at the top of the department. If I find out somebody is covering up something, then they will no longer be a part of this department. That's not what I'm about. I still think there are a lot of things, a lot of questions about the case. But one of my major concerns is that all the hands that have touched the case. That's one of
Which had nothing to do with us. It had to do with the fact that nobody wanted to, nobody can in all honesty sit here and say this case has ever been investigated. Arrington is the only one, I'll have to say, that may have done some investigating. But
Well, I did a lot of investigating on it, and when I tried to communicate with Bilbo Mitchell on it, he shut me down.
well, I tell Bilbo says, don't worry about it, I'll take care of it. He told me the same thing. Now, 5 years later, here I sit, but I am sick of hearing everybody say there's nothing they can do.
Can I say something? You said something new other than what Gypsy had. Now, based on what little I know about the AG's office and involved in this case, the AG's office never did an investigation. All they did was get the report from NBI, present it to a grand jury. They did no investigation. They never went out and talked to people. They never did. And they're not, and I will say this because I know the people at the AG's office. I've worked with most of them. They're not competent enough to do an investigation into a homicide. Marvin Sanders, I worked with him in the DA's office in Hinds County. He's the laughing stock of the DA's office when I was there. You got all of these people that supposedly did an investigation. MBI. You can go from Hernando, Mississippi to the Mississippi Gulf Coast, and you can go to every district attorney's office and most law enforcement agencies to tell you they don't want them anywhere near them because they don't know how to do investigations. They can write darn good reports. They don't know how to do investigations. The investigation that was done into Todd Andreacchio's death by MBI is a joke.
I don't remember seeing that report.
I've seen it. I've read it. It's a joke.
But it is what I'm talking about, they didn't want to have the bullet ricochet and all those.
I remember hearing that, but I don't remember seeing it.
Yeah, I saw it.
Well, it's all theory. There's no forensic fact. They say, well, we had this meeting with these people because we went to this conference and we decided that the reason why there was no blowback on the gun was because he must have had his hoodie on. And that is like, they come up with this theory, but there's no
There's no
proof.
way, you got the muzzle and the guide rod stamped in the side of the
Right,
head.
exactly.
Okay, let's go, let's do.
There's a lot of evidence.
Let's not talk about what hasn't happened and what should have happened and could have happened and maybe, went wrong. Let's talk about where we go from here. I think that's a concern. Where do we go from here?
I
Get that
fully agree.
DNA tested. If, the DA over there, the new one that stepped in and got 400 decibel up, if she ain't on board, you ain't going nowhere.
Well, the only thing is, it's an election year coming up.
All right, I'm just saying, if she ain't on board, I can just tell you that.
Detective, let me ask you this question. And these are some things. And if you don't mind, I have to say, there's some other evidence that y'all not aware of.
So we're gonna have to be made aware of it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
If that other evidence, along with the evidence that is already known in this case,
Right.
makes the case more concrete, and it comes out of this department and goes over to the DA's office, and it is presented to a grand jury, not by the AG's office, not by MVI, that evidence is presented to a grand jury, I think it could be, if there will be an indictment.
Well,
But we can, once all of that is compiled and sit down and talk with Cassie about it,
is she on board with this?
I don't know, I haven't talked to her.
Going that quick, gonna be where she at. She ought to be sitting there.
All I can say about Cassie is I knew her as an assistant. I've had dealings with her on other homicides coming out of Meridian and stuff, and I've always found her and Lisa Howell and them all to be real fair when they hear the evidence.
At least I ain't even heard of it.
Yeah, Lisa's gone, I know Lisa's gone.
My deal is Cassie gonna get on board and even hear this? And if she is, where is she? She need to get over here and get in the game. Because I don't wanna just go over here with all this stuff, just like I did with Bilbo, saying, here it is, and they didn't hear nothing I gotta say.
I don't think anybody here can answer the question as to whether Cassie's gonna be on board.
Well, she basically said that she didn't know anything about the case. Bilbo kept the file. They don't even have a file on the case. He took the file over to the AG's office, and they have nothing, nobody in the office knows anything about the case.
Right.
That in itself is unusual.
Well, he was hell bent on shutting it down, so like I say, whenever I said, well, at least we can agree that he was sitting on the toilet, one of the favorite shot was fired, and he's like, how do you figure that? He wouldn't even admit to that.
Well, he went down to Knox and Associates, and he told them he had enough for murder because they showed him that he was standing in the middle of the room from the window. Y'all need to talk to Knox and Associates.
But right now, if we could get nothing else done but the DNA that has sat over there for 5 years, that everybody says is not there, that is there. Because I know someone who is in law enforcement, who knows someone at the crime lab, and about once a month, she lays eyes on it to make sure that nobody is called and had it destroyed.
Have we told you it wasn't there?
No, you haven't told us that.
I mean,
but-
this department has.
No.
Okay.
But just, actually, Cassie told,
Who
Todd,
submitted the evidence?
they got it off the gun.
I mean, did we submit the gun?
That was before I took over.
Guy had 3 swabs off the gun.
Well, almost they did, but yeah.
Somebody, whoever took.
Well, whoever submitted the evidence, it's important that we know who submitted. We can find out if we did.
It may have been it probably was when Bradley had it. Because Bradley was who we went through and went back and forth because the crime lab in Jackson does not have a technology because it's a small mixed sample, meaning it's more than 2 people on the gun. It was not enough, so we said, we'll pay to have it sent out to an outside forensic lab and have it analyzed because we were told that an outside lab that had better technology could get information from it. I found the lab, the whole thing, went back and forth between Bradley and Bilbo. Bilbo wouldn't allow it, wouldn't agree to let it be sent out because he said that the lab wasn't CODIS, in the CODIS system. Well, come to find out, I didn't know this at the time, but there's no lab that's in the CODIS system except for law and crime labs. So, my thing is, none of these people are going to be in CODIS, but none of the other people, Jet Miller has never been arrested. Whitley has never been arrested. Dillon he's been arrested, but shouldn't have it be in the CODIS system. So none of these people, Travis Bethea, is supposed to have been there. He would possibly be in CODIS, and used to be a neighbor, and was friends with
Let
Hayden.
me ask a question. In order, and this is my take on things, as you said, new evidence and to strengthen the case, and I think what the Andreacchios have will greatly strengthen the case. When I say what they have, right now, there's the Knox and Associates findings, there's the findings of the pathologist, and then there's some other things that they have. Would anybody be in objection to maybe the Detective Arrington and maybe me getting together, looking at all of the evidence in conjunction with what we already know what came out of the initial investigation?
I'm glad to look at anything.
And what you have, and compile a complete investigative report. Do our analysis from an investigation standpoint, see where it's at, and if we think it's strong enough at that point, which I believe it will be, then present it to the DA's office.
Or can you not get arrest warrants, arrest them, and then there'll be an arraignment, it won't be a grand jury. I always thought that's why Bilbo wouldn't let you arrest anybody.
It's still gonna have to go to a grand jury eventually. It's gonna have to go to a grand jury, but the best thing to do is to have all your ducks in a row, already have your case and stuff ready prior, I would suggest prior to anybody getting arrested.
All I would like to do is have Cassie sit down and tell me and the chief she's actually gonna look at this. She gonna cooperate.
Where's Jess Miller?
Lives with his parents. Everybody's still local except for Whitley. Whitley's in Key West, Florida.
Oh, she's left here? I didn't know.
Well, she's down there working in a bar. She'll be back. It don't last long.
But I don't wanna get your hopes built up again, just get them slammed again. I wanna know that Cassie is at least gonna look at it. So you do all this work, y'all get your hopes up, you do all this work, you try to get there, and then it gets over there, and they either turn a deaf ear to it or stick a sticky note on it and says needs further investigation, sends it right back. That's their do-all way of unloading cases. One sticky note says need more investigation, send it back.
You talking about the DA or you talking about the AG? Because the AG ain't gonna do anything.
Yeah.
So how did you get Kathy on board? I mean,
To find out what her position is, she's the newly appointed DA, just.
I mean, is the chief saying, look, we're gonna reopen this investigation, and once we do, we want you to at least look at it?
I'll find out if she's open to even looking at it, because like I say, I did all that work on the case, and I could tell the minute I walked and talked to Bilbo, he don't hear nothing I had to say.
And see, that was different from when we went and talked to Bilbo. Bilbo was just as open, remember? He was just as open about the case and everything when we went and talked to him.
Bilbo's a big bullshitter too. That's exactly what Bilbo is, he's all mouth and no do. He wouldn't even agree to the fact he was sitting on the toilet when he shot. I'm like, really?
Who would, I guess my question is, who is going to approach Cassie and say, look, we're going to reopen this investigation, and we want to know that once we've completed the investigation, will you at least give it some serious consideration and look at it?
And their answer is gonna be yes. That's gonna be their answer, what she
Does it or not? Or at least you have on board saying, yes, I'll take a look at it.
But it goes further than that.
Well, I tell you what, if we get all our stuff together and come down here and start compiling it, we'll make an appointment to do that. I'll see if she wants to come down and get involved in that.
That's when I know she's serious. When you start putting stuff on there, she wants to come look at it. This is good, that's bad, I can use this, I can't use that. And kind of get in the game, help you build a case.
Yeah, that's it. And you're exactly right.
When she does that, then you know your idea is gonna do something with it.
Well, she said she was gonna come down here, I changed the appointment, and the last time I, called down there, I got an answering machine. It was, Thanksgiving or right after Thanksgiving. So I don't know for sure that she got the message or not.
Well, like that.
She had said she wanted to be at the meeting.
Yeah, well, like that, when she starts going over evidence and looking at it, and trying to absorb in what you got, and, we can use this, we can't use that, then I know she's serious. But all that feels good, oh yeah, you get it all together, throw it in the file over here, we'll run with it. And she starts sitting down with you, going over step by step, getting familiar. Besides, like Bilbo does 10 minutes before time to present to the grand jury, and then he skims over it. Then I know she wants to get with it.
So basically, what you're saying is, a meeting like today, where everybody's here, we go over all of the evidence with Cassie and stuff, and say, look, this is what we have, this is what we're working on.
That's it.
I don't feel, I think that's a good idea.
I do too.
Where's the gun?
Last I did, it's gone, well, I don't know.
You don't know what it is?
The gun was here, I think, or wherever y'all keep your evidence.
Check the breath too, I've never had that gun.
And the DNA evidence you were speaking of, is that the
In
state
Pearl.
crime?
It's in Pearl.
Got the numbers of the swab somewhere, don't we?
Well, they sent us the report that had the number of alleles that was there. We sent it to Sorensen Lab, the report. They said there was enough, this has been 2.5 years ago, which there's been more.
Who took the swabs and did something over
That's what I
The
heard.
crime lab took the swabs. It's when they sent the gun over there for the drop test and all,
there?
because there was
Right, they sent it
supposedly,
over?
I don't know if he sent it, I have it probably somewhere, I don't know off the top of my head if he sent it or.
Pretty sure he sent it because he was doing the,
Yeah, he wasn't one because he did the drop, he's the one that sent it over there for the drop
because
test.
somebody said somebody had a hairpin
Let
for
me ask you
it
this,
installed and he checked it.
y'all been all through this. Now, he was sitting on the toilet, right?
No, we don't agree with that.
You don't, where was he sitting?
We don't think
What
he was
is
It's
sitting.
in the middle of the bathroom, above a kneeling and below a standing position.
Okay.
Say that
That's
again.
supported by, luminol,
Say that
blood
again.
spatter.
Like he was turned, we think, the kind of theory is that somebody was in the bathroom and probably standing in the bathtub, and when he walked in, he turned and ducked, and they shot him.
You think they was standing in the bathtub?
Not him,
No.
whoever was.
One of the things that concerned me about the bathroom issue was the soda cup or whatever sitting there.
Beer bottle, yeah.
No, it wasn't a beer bottle. it was
Chick-fil-A
a-
cup.
Chick-fil-A cup.
Yeah, it was a cup sitting there. That's what concerned me.
Well, and there was a beer bottle that was Mexican beer, and we went round and round with Trent Weeks, which wasn't taken into evidence, but it was in a picture. And Jet Miller drinks that type of beer, but they put down that Christian was drinking that beer. Well, they don't know, there was no drugs or alcohol in Christian system. So
Now,
I
one of
can't
the
say he was
issues that's
drinking it.
gonna come forth, and you need to see Trent Weeks' report,
I'd
because
like to see Trent Weeks in our report. You know?
He
that
was
would be-
very,
you know, I've
very,
met
let's
with
just
him
say that he
before.
was very upset
Yeah.
that he
Yeah.
had to turn over that report and the phones back to us, because he told me that I would never get the
Yeah,
phones.
and the reason I tell you, you need to read Weeks' report, because from my assessment, Weeks, because of what they did, they have basically put themselves in a position, should this get indicted, and should it go to a trial, they put themselves in a position to be responsible.
That's still a target of the trajectory of that bullet, where it entered one side of the head, went out the other side of the head. Him being standing or semi-standing, if you go by his body height, sitting on a toilet, his upper body height from that toilet to where that wound is, to where it comes out here, where it hits that wall, that's a straight line. And
Yeah,
if
but
he was
blood
standing,
spatter's coming from the
but,
middle of
but
the
if he's standing, there has to be some kind of angle in his head, not a straight path, straight through. See what I'm saying?
Well, they said he was in a somewhat crouched position, because they're working on a report right now, but to say
Not in front.
on the toilet theory.
Arden, Jacob Arden, Jonathan Arden.
Jonathan Arden, and that's another thing with the pathological findings, is there's a dispute as to the actual time of death.
I'm sure it probably is, because the time of death Clayton gives is a guesstimate at best.
Right. And.
Well, he gives it at 4:45, which I know he's facing access. Dylan makes a phone call 911 at 4:44, but at 3 o'clock, Dylan and Whitley are making phone calls from Christian's phone
Right.
to Matt Miller, to Dallas Steele, two people that Christian wouldn't have been, I mean, they're calling Dylan's mother from Christian's phone at 3 o'clock. So, you know that he's already dead at 3.
Right.
At 1:30, Whitley sends a text message from Christian's phone to Matt Miller and says, hey, this is Whitley, you wanna hang out at 1:30. I doubt, and then the message is deleted.
Right.
So it seems very strange that Christian would be sending, and that she'd be using Christian's phone with him there at 1:30, and then delete the message.
Right.
So,
Dr. Harden said he was in that tub for 4 to 6 hours.
well, he's saying that he was probably shot as soon as he got there, at 12 o'clock.
And that's really important in that case. Well, Dr. Arden,
Well, see, that's why I'm at disadvantage. I've never got to talk to Dr. Arden. I've never got to talk.
that's what I'm saying about all of the other stuff that they've had done. Of sitting down, looking at that, comparing it with the evidence that was already there, and look at those
Well, just like,
things.
Bilbo Mitchell, he went all the way down and talked to him, but didn't take none of us with him.
Well, he told them he had enough for murder down there, and that's why he said he wasn't gonna mess with the DNA.
Yeah, that was his reason for keep putting us off
have
of the
enough
DNA.
now
Oh, well, don't worry about the DNA, we're not gonna
But
need
Bilbo went
DNA.
all the way down, but he didn't take one of us with him.
Let me ask you one question.
Yeah.
You an investigator, right?
Yeah,
You been all over the case, right?
yeah,
Can you make it a murder?
I think you can.
No, can you make it a murder?
I think.
Can you make a straight case?
I think with the overall evidence that you have
If you actually
in
question
conjunction with the Knox and Associates and Dr. Arden's report and stuff, I think you can. And at least I would agree with you, if it went before a jury as a murder, there's always that possibility that they may find it to be manslaughter. But I think there is a good case there for a murder.
Okay, so,
I mean, but have you ever done a case like this that you didn't question people? I mean, none of these people have actually just been questioned.
you can question people and they'll let you question them. I've been trying to talk to Whitley and that other boy, they will not talk to me. I can't make them talk to me. I mean, I'll talk to him, but talk to me, but you cannot make them talk to you.
But you can't just, even if you, I mean, I understand they don't have to answer a question, but can they not just be brought in even as a scare tactic of, and we're gonna talk, we're gonna ask you these questions, and then, yeah, they may
I
say
went
no.
over there, just left the card at the, place she was working at over there, right next to Chick-fil-A, just left the card and asked her to give me a call, and I had a lawyer out of, Jackson over there threatening me with, intimidating his client. No, I just left the card. I mean, that's what I've been running into. I just left the card.
But all the peripheral people that probably know what happened, and it's not that they would be charged with anything, but nobody's ever been questioned, ever. Nobody.
There was a female juvenile, if I remember correctly.
Dallas Steele came in on her own.
She should be of age now.
Oh, yeah, she's married, has kids.
She was of age then.
Yeah. But she came in on her own and said, Whitley,
17 or something. Yeah, she was 17, she was juvenile, okay.
Jordan too.
well,
That may be who they're talking about. Dallas Steele was not 17. Dallas Steele's my age.
Well,
I'm saying at the time.
It was at the
Hey, you got Whitley, you got the dude that was using his
I was
credit
23.
card.
She was
You
22.
got the other y'all name and you investigator. How do you know which one of them killed him?
I don't think, let me say this much. If I was a betting individual,
No, you can't bet.
I'm just, here's what I'm ready to say, let me finish.
Sure.
You asked me which one would kill. If I was going to base my findings on the evidence, the gunshot residue that is over Dylan's syringe and hands, who says, I never went into that bathroom, but he's got gunshot residue on this part of his hand, this part of his hand, and everything. How did they get there? How did they get there? I would say that Dylan shot a gun that day. And I would say that most likely, because of his own incriminating statement that I didn't go into the bathroom, that he's possibly maybe the one who shot the gun. Based on that. Or in the least.
I mean, and then he doesn't have,
You
you
see,
can't say
the
he got
thing
it
is,
because
it's
he was-
not for us to prove that he didn't shoot the gun. You got the evidence of the gunshot residue there on his hand. His own statement says, I never went in the bathroom. Now, I don't know of gunshot residue just floating around out there in the air and falling on people's hands like it was on Dylan's hand.
No, it don't just float in there like that. First thing you're gonna say, well, I shot one the day before, you know?
They don't
Yeah, you
say
didn't wash your hands or anything all for the next 36 hours and stuff. That's for him
Sure.
to create his own defense. He's got to refute the evidence that's there, and the evidence that's there is that Dylan Swearingen most likely shot a gun that day based on the amount of gunshot residue on his hand and based on the positions of the gunshot residue on his hand.
Okay, he shot a gun that day.
That's right.
But how can you prove he shot him?
We can't prove that, but it's not, and we're arguing something that's going to be argued in a courtroom. That's
That is, and I've said this before, you might get an indictment, but if you don't get a conviction, then it wasn't worth the trouble.
I think, now this is my take.
I'm looking for.
I think if you get an indictment, I think if you arrest some people,
Somebody won't.
Exactly.
I think
Too many
somebody's
people-
going to eventually talk.
Dylan came to my dad's house and tried to talk to him. He said he was scared they were gonna blame this on him. I mean, and this is way back.
This was a few days after it happened. Before anybody questioned anything.
The problem with this case is, all of the stuff that we're talking about here today, all of the questions that you're asking, if there had not been a 45-minute investigation,
It wasn't that long. I'm just being honest, it wasn't.
but that's what I'm saying, but had it not been for that limited investigation, we probably wouldn't be sitting here today.
Tell you what,
So,
long Bilbo was the district attorney, was.
Maybe on the elbow part, but as far as the investigation part, we probably wouldn't be sitting here talking about this today.
Well, it's like, I may not be able to prove which one of them shot him, but I could prove by their own statements and the mental shape that he was in, and supposedly he had pointed himself that gun more than once, and they took the gun away from him and then give it back to him loaded. You could have got manslaughter by culpable negligence right there, because you know his state of mind. You didn't call for medical, you didn't call police, you didn't call family. You knew he was in that condition where he was talking about shooting himself, and then you hand him a loaded gun. That's manslaughter by culpable negligence.
You only have one person saying that. Willie, you only have one person saying that, Dylan. Willie says he never did any of that.
Never said that.
And it's time and they supporting that.
I mean, you
Well,
listen,
you're saying, him saying it himself, he puts himself manslaughter.
But that again is one of those issues that's gonna be prosecution versus defense.
Yeah.
If you take Dr. Arden's findings, and Dr. Arden's findings of time of death,
Is that anywhere in writing?
yes,
So we got full report.
yeah, Dr. Arden's time of death does not coincide with what Dylan said occurred with his gun being pointed at his head. That time would be just moments before Dylan leaves to go to the credit union and leaves to go to Chick-fil-A. According to Dr. Arden, Christian Andreacchio was dead hours before that. And I think a jury would put more weight on what Dr. Arden says than what Dylan says. That's Dylan and his attorney has to deal with that.
I mean, in Dylan's statement, he sits there and he gives a counting of events to, I think, Thompson, for that would be a minimum of 6 hours. He talks about they watched 2 movies, that he went to Chick-fil-A, he went to AT&T, he went to Best Buy, he took a 2-hour nap, they ate, they talked a little bit. You're talking a minimum of 6 hours. It doesn't even fit the time frame of even if you went by their 4 o'clock time of death. It just couldn't even fit into the time they got there, but nobody asked him any questions about, well, yeah, I think that,
Again, if you go back to what Dylan is saying, it doesn't even make sense. He's riding from Louisiana here with Christian. Christian tells him, I want you to have my money. Now, they come into Meridian. Christian doesn't go down to the credit union and get the money out and say, Dylan, here's my money. Dylan says, Christian gives me his card and tells me to go to the credit union and get his money. Well, number one, he doesn't have the 10.
I never bought that.
He couldn't get that much money out, even if he did have the 10.
I never
Then
bought,
he goes inside and tries to.
yeah, I never bought that whole deal about the.
So,
Well, and also Christian knew that he couldn't do it like that because the month before,
In December on his phone, him and Whitley text back and forth about her going down to the credit union. He gives her his information. She goes down there. They won't give her the money. She tells him they won't give me the money. They say, you have to be with me. So he knew that, whatever. And then the whole thing about the Jeep being moved. On the phone, she's in December going to meet him in Vicksburg, and he gives her the code to the gate to get into where his Jeep is. So she has the code, she has availability or accessibility of getting in there.
Well, we can talk all day, but it's depending on whether the brand new DA wants to get in the game or not. That's just that simple.
I'm bouncing all over the place. Next question. You said that
The person they are discussing, I removed the name.
Was that called him and was he
The person they are discussing, I removed the name.
he was screaming and said things went terribly wrong and I shot him. And he said that he told his dad, asked Brad too, has Bilbo talked to you about anything? No, hadn't talked to Bilbo. So then I finally called him and asked him, what about
The person they are discussing, I removed the name.
that he's supposed the one who shot Christian? And he said, yes, I'm taking care of it, Ray, don't worry about it.
that's what Bill said.
That's what he said to me.
Okay.
That was 3.5 years ago.
Okay, so I'm just trying to make sure I'm getting this right. If shot Christian in the apartment, Dylan and Whitney, were they there at the time or not?
He didn't, I didn't, he,
You believe
that's
they
all
were there
he,
at the time?
yeah, I mean, yeah, I believe, oh, yeah. I mean, Willie was messing around with Jet Miller and Travis Bethea,
Okay, now,
all in
Corey
Matt
Fisher,
Miller.
he works for the company.
He was working for Magnolia Marine. He's telling them how on the boat, how he knows what happened to Christian, that
Okay, you said Knox and Associates are preparing a report.
like a toilet.
Okay, but they have a.
Yeah, we got a full report that's got luminol and all that.
Okay.
They got a sample from the luminol at their place in Florida.
Now, the pathologist, Dr. Arden, is he gonna be willing to release that to us?
no good.
I mean, do we have to get you all to say, give it to the police department, or?
I mean, we can tell him, but I mean, I'm sure he, well, I mean, we, you know, he
I
will.
work with law enforcement.
Yeah. I mean, y'all actually coordinated, Brad who sent him all the crime scene photos. I mean, we've never tried to keep that from y'all. He coordinated with, sending all the crime scene photos to Arden. And to Knox too, for that matter.
Brad could go see Arden or not to him.
I doubt it is, because I think.
Arden and Knox have never talked to anyone except Bilbo but Bilbo didn't talk to Arden. Bilbo said that the state pathologist explained away all of Arden's findings. And, you know, this pathologist is in the top 10 pathologists in the United States. I think he trumps Gentiz, or however you say her name, who is in all kind of legal trouble right now herself for her shoddy work at the crime lab.
She's not there.
No, I know she's not now, but there was just an article about her and her being 100 reports behind and all this.
Do you know, what type of reports is it at the state? Oh, never mind, good night, Shepherd, good night. You're still doing DNA.
It just takes forever to get it back from him.
Jet Miller's never been arrested,
He's never even been questioned.
I mean, for anything. that you're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of. I've had his thing ran not too long ago, and none of them have been arrested except for Travis 𝐕𝐈𝐃 and well, Dylan has multiple DUIs that he.
They would do this swap.
Travis 𝐕𝐈𝐃 is in jail right now, isn't he?
No, none of them have been arrested for anything other than, like I said, Hayes, because he was in Texas. But no, none of the rest of them have been arrested for anything they being CODIS.
Travis is in jail right now, isn't he?
Yeah, but it's not, they don't take DNA in Mississippi unless
I'm talking about
it's,
DNA. Can somebody not go and talk to him since he's arrested?
well, I think he
Can't run
bonded
anywhere.
out. He bonded out. He was recently arrested,
Who's that?
Travis 𝐕𝐈𝐃.
What's his connection?
Well, his connection is he's supposed to be a CI for y'all. And he's supposed to have been there that day. And he, I guess, has told a lot of people.
They never talked to me, anybody down that church too, and the board was doing their thing, I never talked to him.
He was in Kemper jail. Actually, Max went and talked to him. You went and talked up in Corinth to him.
Up in Corinth.
Yeah,
Patrick
he was
Quinn
in
went and
Kemper
talked to him
County
first.
jail, and he contacted us through somebody. This has been, 4 years ago. And he said that he had information about Christian's death. Well, by the time we got the message, there was somebody, and Max went to Kemper to see him. They had moved him to Corinth, and he said that, we assumed it was Thompson, I don't know, said that two law enforcement people came up to Kemper and talked to him, and then he was moved to Corinth. And then when you went and talked to him, he said that he didn't know anything. All of a sudden, he didn't know anything. That his girlfriend knew everything. That Whitley had lived with his girlfriend for a while. Come to find out, recently we found out that Whitley and him were messing around during this time period. And that is why Whitley went to stay with girlfriend, was because he asked the girlfriend to let Whitley come live with her. And then when she found out that him and Whitley was messing around the whole time, she kicked them both out. Supposedly he was there, he knows what went on, and he's talked about a bloody jacket and waking up with a bloody jacket on, and this kind of goes back to the whole thing that we've heard about this bloody jacket, and we've always assumed it was Whitley who had the bloody jacket. But, now whether there's any truth to it, I don't know. But all of them are friends, and all of them have a connection to Whitley.
And the DNA crime lab, we, at this point, aren't sure who submitted that evidence.
I know Brad too was dealing with the gun a lot, so I don't know.
Brad too sent the gun in because he sent it to have it tested for a hair trigger.
Yeah, I remember him talking about, the gun not being able to cock itself or decock itself, something to that effect. But I don't know if he sent anything to the crime lab. Of course, I can find out, but if I find out he didn't send it, then you must find out who sent it.
You mean the DNA?
Yes.
The gun was sent there, and the crime lab swabbed the gun and got the DNA from the gun.
Yeah, the crime lab's the one that got the DNA, it wasn't y'all.
Okay, but it has to be at somebody's request.
Well, yeah, I just know that I know Brad
I don't know if Brad too made that request.
I know Brad too was concerned about the gun decocking.
Mm.
But I don't recall him saying anything about it. He may have, I don't know.
Well, actually, nobody told us. The only way we found out about the DNA was through chance. Because when someone at the crime lab told me that it was a family's right, or whatever, to ask for an outside lab to test. And I said, I don't know what you're talking about. Well, what would we have tested? And she says, well, it's the DNA. And nobody had ever even told us there was DNA. And she said, we can't test it because it's not enough, and it's a mixed sample, and we don't have the technology, but there's been a lot of advances in DNA testing, and it's enough there to possibly get an ID. And so that's when we started about the DNA. We wanted the DNA sent out. But nobody had ever even mentioned the DNA to us. And then it became a thing of that Bilbo had to release it, that you couldn't just, like, Arrington or Bragg, whoever couldn't just say, we want it sent out to an outside lab. They said the DA had to agree to have it sent out, and he would never agree. And to me, that's crazy, that you have DNA that we're saying we'll pay for to be tested. There's no logical reason to say no, that it can't be sent out to be tested.
Have you seen Knox and Associates report?
I've read over it, yeah.
Dr. Orange?
I've read some of his documents too.
Like I said, first thing you gotta do is see if Kathy's on board. And she's gonna say yes, but I guess what we need to do is ask her, point blank, what is it that you need from us to move on with this?
Do we need to ask about
No,
the DNA,
no,
or do y'all need to ask if the DNA can be sent out?
And basically, since she admits that nobody in the DA's office has ever seen it, it's her being
They may
brand new.
not have seen it, but you can believe they heard about it.
Oh, they've heard about it, but she's saying that nobody other than Bilbo has ever reviewed the report. They came over here.
I don't know about that.
And so if it's going to be a presentation of the report to her, all of this other stuff, the Knox and Associates that was not in the original, the Dr. Arden's finding that's not in the original, and any other information needs to be compiled and placed in that investigative file before it goes to the DA's office.
Where is it? Y'all got it?
The file, or what?
We just,
No, he's talking about the file.
No, not the file.
The report?
The original, we're talking about he's talking about the Dr. Arden's report,
I think that he's
Knox and
the office
Associates.
of all
I
that.
think we got all of it, you telling us
But, and any other stuff that's relevant to it that you have, that they don't have, get all of that together, and at some point in the future, meet and look at what you have and what they have that you're not knowledgeable of, okay?
Sure.
So that we not get all of that compiled in one report before you even consider presenting it to the DA's office, because you want to present everything you have and make the case as strong as you can make it before it goes over there.
Actually, I want the DA to get involved in it during the time you're working on it
You think she'll do that?
and communicate with you while you're doing it.
That would be great if she'd do that.
Well, I mean, it's necessary. I mean, it's a very complex case. You got the MBI's been in it, you've had the two other private investigators been in it, you've been in it, this one's been in it, that one's been in it. You get it all down, and get everything that we got together, and then work with her to see what do you need to go forward with it. So if it gets aggravating when you send it all over, like come up, now I get back to sticky number, but that big says needs further investigation, I tell you. But if she'll communicate and kind of communicate with us as it's in the bill, then she'll know what's in there and if what she needs in there. If there's something in there that she needs that's not there, then she can tell you before you send it over and send it back. You send it over. That way, it saves all the punting backwards and forwards things, she'll kind of get in the game. And like I said, I don't know what she'll do. I haven't talked to her. Have y'all?
We're gonna do his phone conversation, but we'll call her tomorrow and make an appointment for us to see her and then get it started and just basically tell her that we've met with y'all already and y'all are willing to work on it, but she's got to be willing to work with you.
That's it.
And, I mean, like I said, it may not be immediate, but I have a feeling that we're fixing to get her attention. If she plans on running for DA, and I'm assuming she is. It's an election year, and what I'm afraid of is Bilbo still has her ear, and that she's just an extension of him. But maybe not. I'm hoping that she isn't, and he's truly out of it, but I don't know about that.
Basically, that's all anybody's asking her to do either. Is look at the evidence in the case. And I think it boils down to, once you got all of the evidence together and got all, your reports stuff together, and she looks at it, I'm almost say that I think she would agree to present it to a grand jury.
All she gotta do is say so.
That's it.
Right? She need to come on with it. At the end of the day, she don't decide whether it does or don't.
You know, I mean, you can do what you wanna do, but I'm just sitting here thinking that it might be best if we approach her versus you. 'Cause you, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but she might just say what she thinks she wanna hear. I'm not saying she will, but
that's what I, quite frankly, I'm expecting, but I'm hoping that I'm wrong and she's a better person than I'm giving her credit for.
I think it would be better if your department approached it.
yeah, I do too. I do too. Yeah, grand jury or anything this week? No court trial or anything?
No, no.
Okay.
But just from a law enforcement standpoint, is there any reasonable reason to not test DNA?
No, I didn't even know we had DNA until you just told me.
But I mean, from a DA standpoint, she'd have to give permission for it to be sent out. Is there
If she
any
wants to help, then
reasonable
she wouldn't leave any stone unturned.
reason
That would be.
in an investigation and when it's, to not have it tested? Because what's the worst that's gonna come out? That it's Christian's DNA, it was his gun. I mean, it should be, but because it's two people's DNA, I think that's where the problem is Bilbo's probably scared of who that second person is on it.
It could be one of the officers that handled it. I mean, you never know.
It could be, but I
You
mean,
never know. But you won't know until you test it. I think best course of action, and Jay, you can jump in and tell me I'm wrong, I'll get mad with you, but do it anyway. We approach Cassie, see if she's interested, if we have new information, which we do, to at least listen to what we have on this case. Get her down here, don't give her a stack of stuff this tall, and just verbally tell her, well, we have a pathologist report that's gonna say this, we have some DNA at the crime lab that we need you to release to be tested, we have 𝐂𝐈𝐓 Associates report that's gonna say this, but then at the same time, we got 𝐂𝐓𝐇𝐄𝐓's report that says this, and so forth. What is it that you need? What is it that we need to provide you with for you to move forward with this case? And then hear what she has to say and go from there. That's my opinion.
That's it. That's exactly what you gotta do. Find out what she got there to move forward, because she's the one who's gotta move forward. She gives us the list, we'll try to fill it up for her.
Now, who won't talk to us?
I'll talk to you of all those people that are involved in this or whatever.
Who will, or maybe it's something to say who will.
Talk to law enforcement, he won't talk to hardly anybody else. He'll talk to us, but he's very paranoid. He's afraid Bilbo's gonna get him. He's scared to death of Bilbo.
About the data.
Well, I mean, I don't know about that. I mean, I think it is he's got some kind of connection with law enforcement. He's very open about that, I think. So he should talk to you. Dow still would talk to you. I don't know how much she really knows, but she would talk to you. I don't think Matt Miller was ever really polygraphed. Supposedly Sharp polygraphed Matt Miller, but there's no polygraph in any of the reports that I've seen.
If he polygraphed him, it wasn't for us.
Well, no, he told us himself, he told me himself he polygraphed him for y'all.
If he polygraphed him, the board was trying to get him That was before I came back. He was talking about doing a polygraph for the board on 2 people.
Well, that was on Dillon and Whitley, but they would never agree to it.
Okay.
And supposedly Matt, they brought him down to the police station. He was at the board, Eric Stubbs' place, and he told them that, we have it taped, we have tapes of that conversation, and then they say, okay, well, let's go to the police station, are you willing to go? And he said, yes, and they get up, and then Eric Stubbs tells us that Sharp polygraphed him, and so that's why they know he wasn't involved and he was telling the truth. But there's no polygraphs in any reports and anything. And I don't know them, so I really think that everybody lied about that. I think Eric lied to us.
If I'm hearing you right, you said that they got up from out there and came down here to do the polygraph. That's not the way it works.
Okay. Well,
That came out of Sharp's mouth to me, because I wanted to get one of my officers polygraphed, and he wouldn't do it that day. He said you have to give them at least a day to think about it, to get their crap going on in their head.
Well, I always thought that there was something, because we never saw, we asked what questions was he asked, nobody would tell us what questions he was asked. It was all very strange, and then when we finally did get 𝐕𝐈𝐓𝐃𝐄𝐒𝐄𝐑 report and everything, and it had a lot of Meridian's documentation in it, it was nothing in there. I mean, they had where they questioned him or whatever, asked him for a statement or whatever you want to say, but there was no mention of a polygraph, no mention of anything. So, something with his mother. I think you may have talked to Jet. Did you talk to Jet and just ask him about who was shooting guns the night before?
Somebody did.
I think you did. You talked to Jet, and because it was the whole 4th person that was never nobody's name in any report and all, and 𝐒𝐓𝐇 ended up supposedly the 4th person. That's all anybody's ever talked to him, is just to say who was, where he said. Then they lied about back and forth. We've got him on tape saying one thing, and he tells y'all something else. I mean, it's like, why were you lying about it if it was just shooting guns? On Christian's phone, on his Google searches, which I find to me very coincidental, Christian was not a social media person. He didn't have anything, Twitter or anything. There's no history prior to the 24th, because they went shooting on the 25th. This was on the 24th. It was the day before they ever even went shooting. There's 26 searches where he is searching Jet Miller's name. There's
Not just Jet Miller,
Travis
Matt Miller,
and
Zach
𝐂𝐓. All the people whose names are involved in this, he's doing Google searches on them. Whereas prior to that, he's never searched them ever before. So something was going on that he knew. I mean, I don't think there was something that he had been tipped off to or something. Because it'd be different if he had a history of searching these people and keeping tabs on them. He didn't interact with any of those people. And on his phone, which we have a search history for 2 years, year and a half, he never once searches them. But the day before they go shooting, he searches every single one of them multiple times. So something was up. And we didn't even know Travis 𝐂𝐓 and Zach 𝐂𝐓 before. We'd never heard their names before, so something was up.
What was the motive in this killing?
They was just getting money from him. I think they thought that he was, I think number one, they thought he had more money than he did. Number two, I think that Whitley and Dillon owed somebody some money and they needed to get him home. And then when he gets there, I mean, if they thought Christian was just going to hand him over money, that's a Christian thought he could fight anybody. And with Matt Hayes saying that Jet said things went terribly wrong, I think they were there to rob him, thinking he was just going to hand over his money, and that didn't happen. And Jet and Christian hated each other.
first thing first is talk to the DA.
But we're supposed to, that y'all are gonna talk to her first, we don't need to call and make,
Say first, I'd rather just talk to the computer. But I can't stop it.
okay, well, we'll wait to hear from you.
We'll get those,
Well, thanks for meeting with us.
I will continue to share some behind the scenes audio from the Andreacchio case. Stay tuned.